Chiefs at plus 175, Chargers at plus 220, Broncos at plus 260, Raiders at plus 650. Who you betting? Who you think wins it?
I like Chargers at plus 220. And I think no one knows who's going to win this division. It's like the most evenly priced division. At plus 175 is the favorite, which I think is the longest favorite of any division leader right now, according to DraftKings or FanDuel. So Chargers at plus 220, I think is a value. I was there at Chargers camp. There was a lot of hype around this defense. Just signed Derwin James to that contract extension, who they feel is like the lifeblood of the team, let alone the defense. A lot of confidence in Brandon Staley now having more experience as a head coach. Justin Herbert, I was talking to someone on their staff. I don't know. I'll go background here. Justin Herbert likes three things.
Anonymous source? Is that what you're doing?
Justin Herbert likes three things.
Yeah.
Football, golf, and fishing. And that's it. There's nothing else he wants to do with his life. There's nothing else he wants to do with his time. He does not like media. He does not like social media. He doesn't like anything. He wants to do those three things in that order. And I think that's the type of demeanor that Staley flocks to. Like Staley brings up all the time with Herbert that he is someone that is unfazed. And it goes back to at Oregon, what the fuck was going on? Were they forcing him to do things that he didn't want to? Or was it just, I don't know, man. He is a completely different player. To me, from what was prescribed coming out of Oregon, obviously we were lower on him than a lot of people. A lot of people were lower on him than where he is currently. Some people are calling him already the best quarterback in the NFL. I think he's the favorite to win the MVP. He is that dude. And I think that offense is going to be really good. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen are still wildly talented. I love that underrated addition of Gerald Everett, who's getting a lot of targets in camp. Josh Palmer should take this step. A lot of people have confidence in him. Then you go to the defense side of the ball. I wrote this piece for the Ringer. Look at this front seven, how much it's changed. They've added Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson on the interior, which is going to essentially phase out Jerry Tillery on that defensive line. They had Khalil Mack, who's one of the better run-stuffing defensive ends in the NFL and offers value as a pass rusher. And at linebacker, they lose Kaiser White. He signed with the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason. They bring in Kyle Van Noy, who Kenneth Murray right now, any conversation you have about Kenneth Murray is if he's not healthy, he's not playing. And he needs to earn his spot back. It's not he's healthy again, he's immediately the starter. They are probably going to start Kyle Van Noy week one unless something insane changes. You have him. I think it's going to be a competition between Drew Tranquill and Troy Reader there as well. But I don't know. I think this Chargers defense is going to be wildly improved. It's already one of the top secondaries, one of the top defensive coaches in the NFL, taking the right fourth down chances. I think they win this division. I think they're my favorite bet at plus 1,400 to win the Super Bowl too.
Ooh. So I like that probably more than I like them winning this division. I just think, and if you told me to handicap this before the draft, I would have leaned Chargers heavy. And obviously rookies, you can't expect to make a massive impact, but Chiefs draft was the best draft that I've seen. Obviously we've talked about
Karlaftis looked good too.
And they've looked good already in this preseason. But what tips the scales for me in the Chiefs' direction? Andy Reid versus Joe Lombardi, offense coordinator.
Yeah.
Who's going to maximize the talent around them? Obviously the Chargers have the offensive talent. They're probably on par with the Chiefs. There really is a toss-up. I believe in Andy Reid to be able to deal with no Tyreek Hill with this kind of mishmashed wide receiver core now that they have to still put up elite numbers offensively. So that's what tips the scales for me. And then obviously on the defense side of the ball, I really like what they've done in rebuilding this defense. So that's the tiebreaker, but it's one of those two in my opinion. I don't think the Broncos should be plus 260. I think that's too low for them. I just don't see them. I can see them making the playoffs, but I don't see them competing for this division.
I don't love the Tim Patrick injury for Denver. I think that's going to force Courtland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy to really step up and be that guy. And all reports are Courtland Sutton is Russell Wilson's guy. And another bet I like in this division is over 925.5 receiving yards for Courtland Sutton. That was the line FanDuel placed before the Tim Patrick injury, and it has not changed. Yeah. It screams why betting player props have so much value, because there's such reduced handle being reduced amount of people betting on those things that markets aren't beat into efficiency. You don't see lines move significantly like we have with Eagles from plus 250 to literally plus 160 now because so many people are betting that. Courtland Sutton's not getting bet enough to move that line, but the fact that it was placed at 925 before the Tim Patrick injury and it's staying the same, I think that screams value. And every report out of camp is Sutton is his guy. So he stays healthy. I think he clears that mark as well. Broncos, though, I don't like them to win this division. A lot of newness with Nathaniel Hackett, obviously Russell Wilson. I think that I don't like betting on newness to be like top of their division.
Yeah.
You know, like new head coach, new quarterback. Obviously, he's very fucking good. But in the competitive division with the Chiefs and Chargers, I like the stability. I like the Chiefs or Chargers to win it.
I could get on board with the Raiders to a plus 650 if they just had any semblance of an offensive line. If you told me they're going to have an average offensive line, I could sprinkle it plus 650.
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't, like same as last year where we were saying you can't be consistent week to week with as bad an offensive line as that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so even with all this weapons, you're not going to be consistent week to week.
It's a bottom 5 offensive line right now. Borderline bottom 3. And they were not expecting Denzel Good, their projected starting guard, to retire.
Yeah.
And Richie Incognito, they were expecting to retire, but they lose both those guys. Their interior offensive line, so their offensive line outside of Colton Miller is going to be Lester Cotton, which I think a lot of people listening to this podcast don't even know who that is. Andre James, another guy that started last year, was okay, but still not a known commodity by any means. Right guard is probably going to be Jermaine Illuminar, who is a journeyman in the NFL and still not like a solid piece. And then right tackle, it's going to be Alex Leatherwood, who was running with the threes last week. Playing deep into the fourth quarter. I worry about that offensive line. And in terms of a team, a non-quarterback injury really affecting how this team goes. If Colton Miller gets hurt, this offensive line is absolutely an absolute shambles. And I worry that they're just too flawed. And that doesn't even bring up how bad their defense is. Their defense is one of the worst in the NFL, and like they didn't get that much better in the secondary. Now, like they added Chandler Jones, and I think that's going to help. And it's an upgrade over Unique Ngakoue. But the secondary and their linebacking core is still not top-notch by any means. I worry about those flaws.
Defensive player of the year, where are you leaning?
I think this is really mispriced. Micah Parsons at plus 1,000, because I think everyone and their mother loves Micah Parsons, wants to claim him to be the next Lawrence Taylor. And then Joey Bosa at plus 2,500, opposite of Khalil Mack, and an improved defense. So many people want to like the Chargers. So many people want to like Brandon Staley. They love that they go for on 4th downs. They love Justin Herbert and all that shit. Like, I think Joey Bosa at plus 2,500 is mispriced. Yeah,
Bosa is the one I lean to, Joey. And the one thing the reason why is because the tackles in the AFC West. And assuming he gets to stay on the left side, which is where he's rushed in the past, and obviously I added Khalil Mack, who rushed on the left side a lot in Chicago, but it's like Joey's kind of the guy you got to appease, and you would think he'd want to go up against right tackles, but he's not had that guy the past couple of years since Melvin Ingram left to really take the pressure off, in obvious pass situations. Now he does, and he's going up against Billy Turner, Andrew Wiley, and Alex Leatherwood as right tackle in the AFC West 6 times. 6 games against those guys is a lot of sacks. So. And all those games will be like primetime games, big stages where he gets sacks in those games. It's going to get remembered. So yeah.
And not only is Khalil Mack added, and I think there's been a lot of like stories written on. They have complementary pass rushing styles, and it's going to help Joey so much. The other piece of it too is that the interior defensive line is better too.